Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Eastham, and this week we're bringing you a roundup of stories from around the region, including a Syrian rapper on the rise. A little bit later on, we're on the ground in Egypt to meet American football fans who are keen to elevate the ball game to national sports status.
1, 2, 3, Thunder!
And we develop a taste for honey in Oman, which produces more than 600 tons of the product every year. But first, rappers might not be that commonly associated with this part of the world, but one Dubai singer-songwriter is looking to rewrite the rulebook.
Don't make me do you wrong.
27-year-old Mulham Homsi, better known as Moflow, is hoping to hit the big time. And he's off to a decent start, with 11 million music streams and more than 20,000 social media followers liking his work since he embarked upon his musical journey around 2005. He's played gigs from New York, Los Angeles and Toronto to the UAE and collaborated with the American rapper Pusha T. His most recent releases are from an upcoming album called Faith, a personal retrospective about life, love and loss, which he hopes will quash stereotypes about Arab hip-hop and rap music. The Syrian-born, Saudi-raised, Dubai-dwelling artist believes that his family's nomadic start in life had a positive influence on his work.
Not having a steady home and maybe not having the same friends all the time, there was always something that I needed to be my base, and that was always my love for music.
In recent years, Moflow has made the shift from rapping to singing, finding spitting rhymes somewhat limiting as a genre for expression, whereas soulful and melodic R&B has allowed for more creativity and emotion to flow. But that's not to say he writes romantic prose. His tracks are often very colourful and sprinkled with expletives. The singer doesn't believe this curbs his potential to reach new fans.
Obviously, you know, the adults of the world have to monitor their young, and we have to remain free to express who we are, but we also have to do our due diligence and make sure that young people can consume our music if they are interested in it. We don't want to be a bad example or a bad role model, but both versions have to exist somewhere.
Moflow says that today, too many barriers to entry exist for aspiring regional rappers, and he points to a music industry in the region with an inferior infrastructure to Europe and the United States.
Part of it is not being taken seriously and developing that talent. So yes, there's a lot of young, talented artists coming up now, but there's no sort of ecosystem for them to grow and thrive in. There's no route of small shows that they get to do to gain the experience. There is no upper level route.
In a bid to beat the system and cut out the middlemen, Moflow records and produces his own material at home, challenging the belief that going independent stunts sales and distribution.
I actually think it was the best thing we could have done, because we record the same music here that got on the same, charts or playlists as music that was recorded in $100,000 studios. So it actually gave me more of a budget to spend on marketing my music. Hence why my last album was at least 6 to 7 million streams worldwide, which means we actually had to put a strategy in place.
The we that Moflow speaks of is the successful partnership that he's formed with his older brother, nicknamed AY. An established music producer who's worked with the 2015 winner of the X Factor Middle East, Hamza Hassoui. Despite AY's knowledge of the entertainment business, he didn't immediately take on his brother as a project.
You know how it is, like it's the younger brother, older brother thing. So when I was 12 or 11, I went to his first show in Saudi Arabia, and I've seen him, perform to at least 400 to 500 people. And it was the first thing that inspired me to say, wow, this is something that I really want to do. I want to, perform in front of people. I want to make music. I want to be an artist. At one point, he heard something, and then he took me into the studio, and then I had to work for it. I had to prove that I had a kind of talent.
Traditional soccer aside, it may surprise you to learn that American football is a major passion for many Egyptians. In fact, it's the only North African country with its own dedicated league. Emad McKay has the story.
1, 2, 3, Ghana!
American football has finally touched down here in Egypt, and hundreds of young athletes say they cannot get enough of their new American passion.
Egypt now is the only nation in Africa that is home to a domestic league. Head coach Mohi Omar says even though football reigns supreme here, the American version is growing in popularity.
Things are going well in terms of the entire community of football in Egypt. The rise of football has been exponential since 2014. We've been maybe 100 so players, and now we've reached maybe close to 1,000 active players between males and females. We started with 5 teams, now we're 16 teams.
Fans come mostly from Egypt's upscale neighborhoods, a sign the sport hasn't gone mainstream yet in this nation of 100 million people. Like in the US, clubs here boast brutal names like Hellhounds, Thunder, Warriors, Wolves, and Titans. But despite this obvious energy around the game, American football in Egypt is yet to tackle many logistical hurdles, including lack of funding.
We need a lot more financial sponsorship from corporates and companies that are interested in the game and interested with the community that we've built here. With the financial support that we're going to get from sponsorship in the coming years, we're going to basically be investing a lot of that money in developing our coaches and our referees.
Far from having an event as popular as the American Super Bowl, these young Egyptians say they are sure their teams will one day win international competitions.
The best thing about American football is that it really displays a lot of grit and heart. And I think as a culture and a community, Egyptians have that. They have the potential to show so much grit, so much heart, and so much passion.
When it comes to job creation and developing homegrown industries, honey has been something of a buzzword in Oman for quite some time. Rosie Lees-Thompson investigates the country's traditional production methods and explores exactly what honey's money-making potential might be.
High in the Al-Hajar mountains of Oman, what may appear like just a pile of logs is actually an apiary of beehives. This centuries-old method of beekeeping has been passed down from one generation to the next.
This is the traditional method of beekeeping in Oman. The bees form a hive in a hollowed-out palm tree, and then the thickness of the trunk allows them to be protected in both the winter and summer months.
Khalfan is a bee hunter, an Omani tradition that involves tracking bees from their water source to the naturally formed hives hidden in the mountains. But these ancient techniques are dying. According to the government, most of the country's beekeepers have moved towards the more cost-effective modern beehives.
It's easy to observe, to see the hive situation. If they are active, if they are sick, if they need food or anything like this. But with the trunk, it's all difficult.
In recent years, the buzz around beekeeping has swarmed. Omanis are not only attracted to its sweet taste, but also its medical healing properties. Bee clinics have popped up around Muscat.
I opened my bee product healing center. The aim was to use all the bee products with the bee stings to heal our disease.
With the government keen to move Oman's economy away from its dwindling oil reserves, free apiary trainings have been held with the hope of expanding the industry and alleviating high unemployment. The country now hosts more than 5,000 honey farmers and over 100,000 hives. Last year, over 600 tons of honey was produced and sold for a total of 35.5 million euros.
The expansion is happening in both ways. People are trying to get into the honey business, as well as they're trying to get more innovative methods of producing honey, because they see a lot of scope for honey, and the consumption level of Oman is much higher than most of the Middle East countries.
Oman's diverse landscape produces many varieties of honey. The blossoms of acacia tortilla trees in the northern mountains yield al-samar honey, while the frankincense trees in the south create al-luban honey. With the demand for the liquid gold outweighing supply, prices can sting. A pot of al-luban honey can fetch around 8 euros. The lure of the bee business has never been sweeter, but with more farmers chasing higher profits, the era of artisanal beekeeping in Oman may soon be lost.
Well, that is a wrap of our show. We hope that you enjoyed it, and don't forget you can catch all of our episodes online at Euronews.com. Before I leave you, here are some social media posts that caught the attention of the team this week. Wildlife conservation student Rabab stumbled upon this beehive in the backyard in Oman. Faisal from Saudi Arabia was delighted to attend one of Moflow's concerts in the UAE. And Yusuf shared this photo of he and his sister, both Cairo Bear players, during the American Football League.